Browns football team. His father was the UT board president. How many years? I'll look at, how many? 5 years? A lot. I'm going to tell you, I've lived in Oxford for years. The power is there, right? But yet, when it comes to workers getting paid higher wages, starting to privatize, there's no support. Our bills have been rolled 4 years in a row, no matter what we do. And I was told once by a friendly politician at the state level, I said, why are our bills? What can we do better, right? Because we have to work with the politicians, local or statewide, to get any change done, along with our collective grassroots organizing. And he said, you know what? They don't want a bill because then there could be change. You could make it from $7.25 to $7.50 an hour in Tennessee, and they won't do it because then you can always amend it. So if there's never a bill to support workers in Tennessee, then we can't change it. So like Pastor Earle said, we don't have a lot of progressives in office, and that's something that we've got to change so that we can start making change in Memphis, in Shelby County, and in Tennessee for workers.
Okay, so this next question is kind of targeted at Ms. Cook, but you all can feel free to answer it. Don't worry too much. It's just about what are the barriers to that prevent people from joining unions in Memphis, and also to organizing in general in Memphis?
The biggest barrier is fear. People are so scared to join a union, either out of fear from retribution from their employers, or even the myth that being in a union is illegal in Tennessee, as if this were actually the case. It's illegal to actually say that it is illegal. Like your job can't tell you that, you know? Like it's amazing to think that people are scared that they could actually be fired for joining a union here. Again, I come from New York, where the basic, even the mailroom had their own union in the university. They had a union separate from other unions, and they had their own agenda, and they supported candidates, and they did marches. And I mean, I come from a place where you could leave your job literally at lunchtime, go outside, protest, and then come back inside and finish your workday. And like your boss wouldn't even look at you sideways. But here, if you say, I'm going to Nashville or Knoxville because I'm going to protest X, Y, and Z, it's like, oh, well, you might get arrested. Are you sure you're gonna make it back to work? You know, and luckily I work for a department where that's not the case, and they support all of my work with the union, but I've heard some real horror stories just in the 2 years that I've been here. And I'm really thankful, you know, that I did find a union to join, because I sought out the union on my second day. I was sitting outside smoking. One of the physical plant guys came by, and I was like, hey, I'm new here. And you know, we started talking. And then I said, do you guys have a union? He said, we sure do. And it was Tom came over from the UCW 2 days later. Just showed up in my office and said, here, I'm here to sign you up. It wasn't until about 3 or 4 months later that I realized there was a union that was recognized at the University of Memphis, but it was run by the state. So how could they be unbiased? I mean, they're on the side of the governor. Why would I join them? I watch my pay stub very closely to make sure they're not taking out any dues. You know, being in a union is a conscious choice, and I think one of the goals of the UCW is to promote it not only at U of M, Southwest, but also at Lemoyne, at Christian Brothers. I mean, heck, even before they take them completely off the map, the University of Phoenix, because like I said, I believe that higher education workers really need a union.
What are your visions for your organization in 2018, and what plans does your organization have for the future?
We have lots of goals in 2018. One of the things that we really want to see Memphis have is a municipal ID program. We have a lot of workers in Memphis and in Shelby County that are not able to have a valid state or federal ID, or their ID that they have is not recognized either from the entities here not understanding what that ID is because it may be in another language, or because they just don't want to look at it. And so we really want to see that come so that people can feel like they belong in Memphis, so that they have something with their picture and their name, and that if something were to happen, say, yes, this is who I am, right? And that I live here and I work here and I belong here. So that's one thing that we do. We started last year what we call an apprentice fair program, where we work with the building trade unions. There are over 30,000 union members in Memphis and Shelby County, and over 40 unions, right? And so what we try to do is we try to educate the community that those unions exist, that they're there, and that with the building trades, at least there are 11 building trades that have apprentice programs. And so we do fairs quarterly that we invite the entire community, that if you would like to join to work with and work for, or even just to support that particular labor union, that you can come out and do that. We're working on some other programs as we go, and as always, we want to continue educating people on their rights and their safety and health across all of Memphis and Shelby County.
So MLK 50, Justice Through Journalism, is a year-long project. So I'm not exactly sure what the future it holds. Past April 4th, people have been suggesting that I try to continue it. I see a lot of challenges with that. We're the only news outlet in the South probably that really focuses on amplifying low-wage workers and their perspective. And so the people who might be most inclined to read our work and support our work are also people that are least in a position to fund it, right? And so we made a conscious decision to not have any kind of subscription model and just rely on donations. But in following the spirit of King, we're disruptive, right? And so if you profit from the status quo, you're not going to want to support what we do. And I get that, because if I profited from the status quo, I wouldn't support me either. And so one of our founding values is to pay our contributors a living wage, right? And so that's a non-negotiable. It means we don't publish every day. We do the best we can with what we've gotten. Most of that money has been from outside of Memphis, right? Because people in Memphis who have the money they profit from things staying the same, right? And that's that wasn't your question, but that's one thing I want to be sure I say. I took a class when I did this fellowship at Harvard with this professor, Matt Desmond. He wrote this book called Evicted. And he, in this class, Poverty in America, he asked, what if poverty isn't an accident, but it's a robbery? So I thought about that. And I think that poverty isn't an accident. It's a robbery. The thieves have names, and the names can be known. You're not going to get supported by the Chamber of Commerce, right, if you start naming names. You're not going to get money from them. FedEx isn't going to, actually FedEx did give us money, but FedEx isn't going to probably promote you too much if you're amplifying the voices of union organizers, right? And so this work is really expensive, right? I'm not going to do it and ask people to work for poverty wages. And so because of funding challenges, I don't, if I hit the lottery, it's on. But otherwise, I'm not sure how you make something like this sustainable. So we're going to do everything we can to be disruptive through the anniversary. Legally disruptive.
Thank you. So I made a commitment at the beginning of the year. For the past couple of years, I think, as a pastor and even as a grassroots activist, I was leaning into criminal justice reform, especially in 2015, and some media accountability measures in 2016. And we started to turn the corner and connect some dots with regards to voter empowerment. So this year, I made a commitment, in honor of King, to be more aggressive around economic justice initiatives, and so I've been trying to amplify my voice and some other voices in that regard, and also try to shift gears as it relates to voters empowerment. And we recently have been organizing this initiative that's becoming known as the Memphis Shelby County Voter Collaborative. And I think this is something interesting to even talk about here at Rhodes, with so many students who come in from out of state and even some from out of the country who may want to be involved in voters registration, voters education, voter engagement initiatives and stuff like that, but don't know a place to get connected. We're trying to substantially increase voter turnout in 2018, 2019, and 2020. So we see the direct connection between the economic injustice that is rooted in so many piss poor policies and a lack of voter turnout. And again, to the point I made earlier, that sometimes you have elected officials that are far from progressive, even if they are on what's considered to be the left side or the progressive side of the aisle. You have people who are content with winning like 80% of 1,000 votes. And I can't sign off on that. I don't think that that makes for a more just society or more economically equitable society. So, you know, I made my commitment to be even more vocal about, as Wendi said, not only are there thieves, but they have names and they can be found. And I've been one of the people who, even at the risk of being ostracized or marginalized from certain organizations that I've been connected to or affiliated with, I'll say their names, I'll name the thief and describe the highway robbery. For instance, there are chess moves being made at City Hall under the guise of what we would call the politics of representation. But a lot of us have been advocating for more equitable representation in halls of government, especially with relation to not only where people are elected, but where people are appointed. And recently, my dear brother Ricky Wilkins was engaged in this initiatives about economic empowerment in Memphis, and he put a sheet together that listed all of the major positions in the city and how many of them were ran by rich white men, mostly, and how much money was allocated in the budget to this particular entity. One of the major entities was MLGNW, Memphis Light, Gas, and Water. And just this week, because the head of MLGNW was retiring or resigning, either one, I think retiring though, effective on the 19th of January. There's an interim, and so there was a search process. Just this week, there was a black brother hired. Today. Put your hands together for that. And yep, I'm setting you up, so you do it right to be reluctant in the clap. But yes, a black brother, you know, is appointed, and my first response is, this is a chess move. Because it looks great to say, look, we're being more inclusive, we're being more progressive, we got a black face in a major place, which is right. However, the brother is from Pensacola, Florida. He was not reared inside of MLGNW, and anytime somebody relocates from Pensacola, Florida to take a position like this, what is the likelihood of someone like that seeing some injustice in that system and really speaking out? Well, if you were wondering, here's what was happening today at City Hall, at the City Council meeting. It was voted on, and he is receiving a 48% raise from his predecessor's salary. The predecessor was making $215,000 a year. He will be making a whopping $320,000 a year. Welcome to Memphis.
And they want to raise my light bill
They do.
to pay for his salary. I guess we'll be fighting against that. Well, as for the UCW, among other actions like the fight to raise the minimum wage to 15, current efforts we have right now are organizing graduate students and adjuncts. The UCW has led the fight against Governor Haslam's plan to outsource. So far, we've protected 4,000 out of 10,000 jobs across the state. But the jobs, like I've said before, the jobs at U of M and Southwest still aren't saved. But you can help right now by taking out your phone literally right now, come on, take out your phone. It takes